Okay. So the structure of this meeting, hopefully more people will continue to join. The structure of meeting was like this. We will have our intros quickly to start the session. And then we begin the session, which is NightBuild 2, uh, focused on small models. Ravi sir here is existing expert in this particular area, and he will be sharing some knowledge that he has. He will do a show and tell. Before that, as I said, let's begin with a round of introductions. Since Ravi is leading the demo, so show and tell.
Yeah,
So I'll request Ravi sir to give a
yeah,
introduction.
yeah. So, okay, I am that way hardcore techie, almost 35 years or so in the IT industry. Started in IT services company for first 25 years, a company called as Mastech. I work with them in a global role, primarily technology oriented, not a managerial, more of a managing architecture, technical design, at some point of time solution practice. And uh, then uh, yeah. So later part of it, I shifted to startups, and I started again. My primary startup background is in fintech payments space. So I did a first payment startup, which is now got acquired and is a part of another large company, like is a part of Pine Lab, which is one of the leading payment company in India. I'm doing another startup at this point of time called as Spincentive, which is in a gift card space. But my
Mhm.
primary role is technology. I love technology. Like to build platforms on technology, and AI is a very special interest from last 3 to 4 years. But means otherwise, my interest is wider than AI, based on the technology side. That's me. Yeah.
That's great. That's really great background. Okay, I think we have one more guest joining us. It's Brijesh.
Hey, hi,
Hi.
Vijay.
Could you turn on your camera if that is okay with you?
I was just looking at the buttons. I'm using the browser mode of Teams, so each site has buttons somewhere or the other. Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. So we are doing rounds of introduction. So since you just joined, Ravi has just finished his introduction. I think it's your turn. You should give your introduction.
Yeah, I'm round. So
Okay.
I've been
What about? Mhm,
work-wise or computer-wise, I've been in IT for 27 years now.
mhm,
So from the Y2K days all the way to cloud and now AI, so it's been an interesting journey, and I've been lucky to be positioned at times where I've been able to get my hands on these technologies as they happen. So right now, AI is what's happening. I'm part of an employee of a startup working on right now trying to make products that will not be taken over by foundational models within a month or so. So trying to stay slightly ahead of the curve, but we see uh, when the things are becoming more realistically getting into enterprise, we see that there will be a lot of need for some kind of onboarding tools and tools to monitor and govern, which are not
mhm,
necessarily always in the hands of the big players. So hopefully, from that angle, we are building up some tools and looking at
mhm.
the customer space right now in US mainly, but yeah. So
Okay. Any specific reason that you are interested in small models?
yes, because end of the day, one part of what we I am doing as part of my work is around the LLMs, etc., because that's what the world is asking for. But generally, in open source, open standards LLMs, as well as small language models, there's enough of particular ask that is there in the market. So if we can find a way to see what is the advantages we can gain out of that, I feel that in the maybe and from where I stand, I don't know what I can do about it, except as a personal activity in the next 6 months or so. But in this between a year and 4 or 5 years, I see a lot of domains going towards SLMs for their specific tools because that allows them a certain amount of security and a certain amount of accuracy that a very generic LLM may not be able to give them.
Thank you. Thank you, Britt. Deepti, I know you have already given your intro, but I would request you to repeat that for our two guests who join later.
Yeah, sure. I have been working in IT and I have experience in basically in development. So we were developing the telecom domain product. The platform which we use under the MSc and BSc cards, that was my responsibility. So the upgradation and starting up the new MSc BSc cards were our responsibility. Then I moved to a generic role in a 3D printer startup. And I worked there and I worked in various things like there also I have developed the platform for the 3D printer, health, upgradation, fonts, alarm, raise, and all that stuff. And then I took break for maternity and now I want to join back. And in between also I was doing some freelancing in Python and for some French company. So
Right.
I have C background, C, Linux, Python. So so now I know that AI is using Python, and so I think my experience can be helpful, and I think I can learn easily AI as a core part. So that's why I
Certainly.
was interested in that group created by Agentic. I couldn't join any session, but whenever I got the opportunity to see there's an online session, so I joined quickly.
Great. Right. Now I'll invite Chanakya, who also is joining us for the first time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have a zero tech background. I have just recently completed a course on AI. And so for me, I'm an empty cup. I'm looking to fill myself up with what I could probably bring in was, problems which need solving, real world problems, which I find a lot of tech people sometimes seem to be unaware that such problems are there in the real world. I have real world access, and that is what I'll bring the problems. I will need you guys to help me and guide me and to find solutions for them. There is a huge demand from all verticals. My primary business is catering. I enjoy eating good food and feeding good food to people whom I know, and that has been my business for some time. But I felt I should now get into something more technical, use my brain a bit, and so I joined a course which was run by Vaibhav Sisinti. Probably you guys, of course, he's a influencer, but it was a good, interesting, very vertical climb for me, a vertical learning curve, and I'm looking more to challenge my mind and move ahead. So we did develop a small something called Book Bingo, which is to help people to read or find good read. Good, I like enjoy reading, so that was something I did. But I'm looking forward. I was reading the comments on Ravi sir on the group, and I found that fascinating. The in-depth understanding of what it is capable of doing. But the average person on the road in the world has no idea about how impactful and how exponentially we can improve in our work by using AI or by using any of these things which are there. People are still intimidated that the whole concept of Terminator and Skynet and all that is very much there. They're frightened more than anything else. But if we find a way of creating a bridge, I think the opportunities are awesome, amazing. I'm sure Ravi sir, with 35 years of experience, has firsthand. But standing on the outside, so for me, it looks like a huge field of gold, and we just need to be able to find a way of sort of monetizing that. So that would be one of my primary questions. How does one monetize this, whatever that we are going to develop? So that's what I'd like to learn. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on this call. Thank you. Grateful.
Most welcome. I hope you learned something here of use to you. And lastly, I'm your host, Mugdha, and I am a technical writer and AI developer, and I'm also working now in the space of developer relations. And to me, all of you are developers. Whatever your backgrounds are, you have started, you have taken your first steps, or are experts in AI, and you all are contributing in some way towards this, uh, exponential development that is happening in this particular field. And it's my privilege to host you today for the second edition of NightBuild 2. I'm calling it NightBuild 2. We are not exactly building anything today, but if you want, while Ravi sir are showing us, he's showing us uh, how the models are run or how you can make use of them. You can go offline and try those things on your own machine on while we are going through this session. And there will be two parts to this. First will be about small models themselves, and then there would be a short break of 5 minutes. We will return to see another show and tell about OpenClaw. You might have heard a lot of things about OpenClaw, but what it is, how it works, and how we can use that, we'll try to touch upon that. We'll wrap up with a Q&A session. You can ask whatever question you want, and we will all kind of crowdsource to answer that. So
Yeah.
this is the plan for tonight. So let's go ahead. So Ravi sir, stage is yours.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So just before I start, all of you use AI, right? ChatGPT or something. You use all of you? Good.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So maybe I'll start with, of course, Mugdha very specifically told me that keep it show and tell and not slides or anything. So I had not really prepared slides as a slide. I try to prepare something for my own tracker, but that also is not something which is presentable in that sense. So what I will maybe start with still one question. What do you think is model, large language model? What it must be like, since some of you, at least except Chanakya, probably almost all of us have some kind of software experience. What do you think large language model is? And maybe we'll start with that, and then I will get into showing things.
This question is exactly for Bridge. He's going to answer this. Go
No,
ahead.
so I am nowadays trying to go the other way around and not be looking technically. So the way I explain to people is it's a brain. But of course, from my side of looking at it, it's a neural network and a transformer. So it's a matrix
Yeah.
which is getting created. And that's the way I have abstracted in my head. But to be fair, that's the point where I've stopped abstracting beyond it. I've not thought on it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
Diti, you want to add something to that?
The large language model is something which you can
No,
give
not
in.
the definition. How you
Okay.
understand it. Forget about the definition that is on Wikipedia. What you think it is. That's what Ravi sir is asking.
I think you can train it and then it can give you some output.
okay.
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 Yeah.
It
Okay.
will give you some inputs and then it will take the feedback and then it will give you the output.
Okay. What you're saying is correct. I think it is in a way brain, it is in a way something which is trainable.
Yeah.
Important point which I want to really bring to the everybody's notice is when we all of us came into computers, we started with something called as programming. And programming was the way by which you instruct computer to do something. Now that style
Yes.
of instruction kept changing. Incidentally, I also in my college they started with C, C++, plus kind of a languages. We wrote a simple program like saying print this thing, loop into this. If this is so, then do
It's
this.
not chasing. Yeah.
Yeah, Fibonacci number, whatever, all the kind of things we did, and but all of them were instruction, and that is the way the systems were for quite some time. And that was the one stream of thought which almost somewhere in 1930s started with a person called a John von Neumann, who said computers can be represented by the instruction machines. It can be simply instruction and data. If the data is given, instructions are given, they can keep following up, and we can have an intelligence in the system. A second thought came from another set of people who said, why you need a instruction machine? Human brain is not instruction machine. We don't work like saying, if this is so, then go left, otherwise go right. We instinctively move. And there is a whole science of people or whole set of people who kept studying human brain. And from there, they went into something called as neurology. And they realized that the human brain consists of neurons. And when something happens, when we see something and when we hear something, when we think about something, set of neurons just fire. And when those set of neurons fire, there is an effect. And those are we call as thoughts, those we call as ultimately those thoughts get converted into actions. And that is the reason that the word which Brijesh you use as a neural network came from, okay, because they said it is more human-like. Now, interestingly, large language models are indeed more like neurons and not like if-then-else statement. There is practically not a single line of code inside a large language model. And if some of you have done AI course, if you have studied neural networks, they're nothing but simply very high order matrices. So anybody with a maths background, like you have vectors, which is a single n-dimensional thing with series of numbers. Your matrix, which is m by n, your m rows and n columns, and there are numbers in that. It is almost same. Only reason I'm calling it higher order because vector is one, matrix is two-dimensional. When it becomes three-dimensional, four-dimensional, five-dimensional, it is called as tensors. So all these are nothing but huge set of tensors. So when we look at the models, we say, okay, we are going to study these models which are like models which can run on our laptop. We are going to look at something which is purely a huge file of numbers, which we are going to take. Now, how they operate is an interesting subject in itself, maybe for a technical day, but there is a notion called as transformer architecture, which organizes these numbers in a particular way. And you can then pass set of sentences or words through that. And maybe I'll start with that. I'll probably maybe I'll share my screen and I will start with some. How many of you have heard what tokens?
Yeah.
Nowadays, anybody who's doing AI you
Pay
will.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll search for tokenizer. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, I'm searching for open online tokenizer. Well, I'll just look for one. Maybe. So tokenizers are something which is converts your statements into tokens. So I will take this one. I'll hide my screen.
Yeah.
No. Now, if you see the screen, this is the way. Yeah, this is the tokenization. Like this sentence is GPT tokenizer, the fastest TypeScript implementation. But what is colored is a token. So G is a separate token. Then PT is in the same color. So that is another token. Hyphen token 9 is in a third token. IZER is a fourth token. So this is the way language models or you send set of these are called as tokens. So when we take means I generally when I explain it to non-techies, I say you assume them like a word, but in reality they are not word. So you take set of tokens, you pass them in a one sequence to this large set of matrices, and they start predicting next token, next token, next token. So in some sense, a lot of people say that large language models are next token predictors. And it is very surprising that they are talking so coherently because in reality, only thing that they are doing is when you give GPT tokenizer is as the only sequence, they produce the. If you give the GPT tokenizer is they produce fastest. If you give this whole thing, they produce type. Then they produce script. So only one token at a time they're producing. But simply when you look at that whole thing, it sounds like they're so smart, they're intelligent. So it is important to understand that, okay, they are actually set of numbers. Now, that I'll just quickly use one slide. I don't want to use it for longer, but if you look at the companies and models, you must have heard about ChatGPT from OpenAI, Claude from Anthropic, Gemini from Google. Have you got heard about this all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there are a lot of open weight models. Why they're called as open weights? Because their weights are available. They're not called, typically there is a confusion about the term. A lot of people, almost whole world calls them open source, but realistic right word is open weight, because their weights are available, but their data sets are not available. Their training algorithms are not available. Their hyperparameters on which they were trained are not available. Only the weights which came in the end. And when I say weight, I mean that matrix, the huge numbers which I talked about. Those weights are available. So these open weight models are like a Gamma from Google, which has become now very recently. Gamma 4 came out. Yeah. Then 5 from Microsoft, Quen from Alibaba, DeepSeek in its own right, Mistral in its own right, then Llama from Meta. These are the models which came out. And today's topic is primarily focused on open weight models. And that too also those open weight models which you can run on your laptop. Now, very quickly, if you want to see the list of all open weight models, Hugging Face is probably become the world's biggest repository of all the models. If you simply go onto the models, you will see at this point of time, 2.8 million models are already there here. And every day, thousands of models get uploaded onto this. Only few of them we keep hearing because those are they become big and famous and people want to download them. But this has almost everything possible you will find on Hugging Face. Yeah. Now
they can also be modified, right? Somebody can create a duplicate a model and maybe train it for their own purposes, right?
correct.
Which
So
is
you
why the
can
number is very high.
correct. So the model can be original model, and then you might actually go and train it on them. Like for example, this is my login. I go into where is it?
On your own profile, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see Ravi Kadam Quen 2.57B RBI, this is the model I took the Quen 2.57B at that time, and I actually fine-tuned using RBI circulars. And I uploaded that. So now this model can be run like any other model on a local machine or any machine, but it will give RBI specific answer. Okay. So this so Mugdha, what you're saying is right. Okay. So what you're calling as people can modify the process is called as fine tuning. Again, fine tuning is becoming accessible, but since this topic of this thing is not really getting into how to build models, maybe for some other day. Okay, how to fine tune models? Like there are frameworks like Unsloth, which today allow you to very rapidly fine tune models and build your own as long as you have data sets with you. So for example, Janaka, if you have recipe data sets and you have created a huge data set of how things should be built, maybe we can take one of the model, fine tune on that, and maybe that model will become expert in recipes. So, so that is
That'd be awesome. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So now next question is, if the models are nothing but this numbers, then how to run them then? Because when we say, okay, I'm going to use that model, then you need something to run it, right? Because the numbers on their own don't run. Means traditionally programs run because they are binary executable, but models need something called as rendering of or inference engine. Means rendering is a word which I commonly use, many people use. Okay, I'm rendering a model for an inference. But inference means using the model to predict next word or asking a question and getting an instruction. So it is called as instruction fine tuning of the model, where you can now not only just get next token, you can ask a question and it will answer. You can give it a task and it can do it. Various thing models can do today is because of additional thing called as post-training exercises. So there is a pre-training when the models are originally trained, and then there's a post-training where you fine-tune, there's something called as reinforcement learning, by which you actually give it a reward for right and wrong answers. And in multiple ways you train the models. So, so the renderers are the one because of which these models can be used. I kept the LMStudio in a bright because this is the renderer I'm going to talk today. But the most popular renderer on the laptop is Ollama and LMStudio. These are very popular. Many people use Ollama, many people use LMStudio. Onslaught, which I just now mentioned for the fine tuning, has now very recently launched NightBuild, and that is another renderer which has come in the market because of that. They are also willing to fine tune not only fine tune the model, but they are also willing to provide it for inference. But in all the, and of course, vLLM and HGLang are the server-side inference engines. So if you're doing a large-scale production deployment, you generally won't do it on Ollama or LMStudio. You typically start with vLLM or HGLang. For example, if you see the Servum's own deployment, which they are given as made as available as an API, they internally use HGLang as an inference engine to render a model for inference purposes. So far it is clear what rendering engines are? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go back to our task of LMStudio. Now, LMStudio, all of us, you can download LMStudio. It is an open package. Why I chose LMStudio? Because it is graphical. Its user interface is graphical, while almost all others are CLI based. That means you need to go to command line, type something. And if you're comfortable with CLI, then many people prefer CLI models in technology world. But if you're doing it first time and you really don't want to get lost into CLI commands, then LMStudio is a good choice. LMstudio.ai is a site all of you can download either now or later on or in the break. It has a model available for almost every OS like Windows, Mac. I'm going to use Mac. Now, one more thing I forgot to mention that uh, since models are large tensors or large high order matrices, they involve huge amount of multiplications and those kind of operation, and those need to be done in parallel because you're not talking. We are talking about not really 5 by 5 or 6 by 6 matrices. We are talking about 1,000,000 by 1,000 kind of a numbers. And if you are going to take that bigger matrix and you have to multiply it, you can't do it sequentially. And for that purpose, a very special purpose processing unit called as GPUs, graphics processing units, are used, which are massively parallel. If you give them a sequential task, they will be damn slow. But when you write algorithm which is in a right way, then they do a very fast job. Again, NVIDIA is a most popular GPU platform in the world at this point of time, probably almost 95-98% market share, which NVIDIA holds. But there are a lot of other GPU providers. AMD is one. I think Mugdha, you are exploring with AMD. There are
AMD
others.
Radeon, yeah.
Yeah. So there are other providers like that. Now, interestingly, Apple decided to create their own. So when they built their own GPU, they created when they built that M1, M2, M3 series. Mine is a slightly older Mac, which is M2 Pro. Currently, M5 is available in the market. But when they build a M1, M2, M3 series, they build a GPU inbuilt, and that GPU is called as Metal GPU. And actually, NVIDIA almost became dominant for one more reason, that they created a standard called as CUDA.
Yeah.
And that CUDA became so dominant that today, even though AMD and others are powerful, huge amount of world software is written in CUDA, which can't be easily migrated. And that's why now a lot of cross compilers are coming in place, which can take languages like PyTorch, which are used generally for development in AI deep learning kind of area, and translate them directly not into CUDA but into other things. So, for example, in Apple, the underlying language framework which they created is called as MLX. So, if you go to all the model provider and if you just search for MLX on Hugging Face, many models nowadays show MLX as a tag. That means it is optimized for Apple. Okay. While most other model providers, for generally for laptop deployment, use a format called a GGUF. Again, GGUF is the most popular format. And Mac can run GGUF. Windows generally run GGUF. Windows will not run MXL. So that part you need to keep little watch on. Of course, your renderer will not download it only. But in case you find a model which is there and it is in the format which is not suitable for you,
Right.
you will keep wondering
Ravindra,
why it is not down. Yeah. Yeah.
while we are talking about, since you have brought up GGUF, let's dive into the concept of small models. So far, what we have seen so far open weight models, what they are. They have their hyperparameter exposed, but they are still LLMs, large language models, trained on billions of parameters. But we are focusing on small models, which could be run on a standard laptop, even mobile.
Oh,
So
yeah.
where they come in? So what is their relationship with these LLMs? Are they a kind of a subset? What kind of machines they can run on? If you can also shed a light
Yeah.
on that.
Correct, correct. So actually, the difference between the large language model and small language model is only in the size of number of what you call as number of parameters. Since I talked about those are weights and open matrices, now something like GPT-4 was 1.75 trillion parameters, which is massive. While the models which you're talking about is like 9 billion, 4 billion. And from that perspective, they are called as a small language model because the models which we talk about, I mean, GPT-4 was 1.75 trillion. I'm sure current models must generally ChatGPT or even all these Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini, all three of them don't release the size of their models. But general cases, it is now crossed 4 to 5 trillion parameters. And that is massive because one parameter requires 2 bytes. These are floating point numbers. So they generally require 2 byte. It is called as FP16, floating point 16 as a standard. Almost all models are FP16 which are available today. Mugdha, except you mentioned about Servom in one of the LinkedIn posts. And for some reason, Servom is FP32. That means it requires 4 bytes. Yeah, for every weight number. Now, impact of that size on us is our RAM. Okay, like suppose if you take 8-bit, 8 billion parameter model, it will be typically a 16 GB size. If you take 4 billion parameter model, it will be 8 GB size. Now, at a full scale, that is FP16 level, there are certain techniques we'll talk about quantizations, but these are the sizes. So when you're looking for the small language model, you have to look for that range. So today, my laptop is 16 gigabyte RAM laptop. So even when I decided to do demos, I selected Gamma 4 billion, Gamma 4 billion, because I know Gamma 4 billion is 8 gigabyte RAM, and that will easily fit into my laptop memory.
Right. It does have variants that can also fit into 2.5 GB RAM. And
Correct.
why this matters for Deepthi and Chanakya, basically our laptops and mobile phones have RAMs of size something like 8 GB or lower. So if you really want to run your personal AI, not ChatGPT, but a model that is your own running on your own machine, it should have sufficient RAM to run into it.
Correct.
So for that purpose, we need something very lightweight. So instead of something like 15, 16 GB that Ravi sir is talking about for say Server 30, instead of that, we need something very small that would take no more than 2.5 MB, sorry, not MB,
GB.
2.5 GB RAM to run on your mobile phone or your laptop. That can actually run on your own machine without even needing internet or anything. It can run very peacefully there efficiently. So
Correct.
that would qualify as a small model.
Small language
Sorry,
model.
Ravi sir. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. So those are called as the small language models. Of course, there is no exact definition of small language models. Most people even today don't mind calling even 32 GB, 32 billion parameter also as a small, because the comparison is 1.75 trillion. So in comparison, they are small, but fundamentally, models are becoming tiny and they are still retaining their power. So what we are realizing that now you get a model like a 4 billion parameter model, which is better than 16 billion parameter model a year back. So they are constantly improving. Now we'll come back to LMStudio. This is the LMStudio interface. If you install it, and in LMStudio, the last left-hand side, this tag, I will again click it. Left-hand side, the fourth thing, you will see model search. If I click onto it, it shows the list of all models which are available, which can run. It generally shows only GGUF format, or in case of Mac, it will show MLX format. So it shows like here you are seeing gamma for E4B, gamma for E2B, which is 2 billion, 4 billion. Nemotron is a NVIDIA model. Quen 3.5, we talked about it is Alibaba model. LFM, I don't remember who that model is, but there are quite a few. RNJ is a model, even though it is an American model, it is named after Ramanujan, an Indian mathematician. Okay, so that model is here. Again, it is small enough, of course, 8 billion parameters, and there are laptops which can fit it. Some of these models, there are quite a few. Okay, like there's a GPT OSS 20B. This model became extremely popular because this is the latest OpenAI model which became open source. Because OpenAI till GPT-2 was open source. They were releasing every model into the community. GPT-3 or 3 onward, they stopped releasing, and GPT 3.5, which we call it the Chat GPT, which was the first model which was released, was a closed model. They never decided not to release it. People say it was in the range of 400 to 500 billion parameter model. And by the time they reached GPT-4, they reached a trillion parameter, 1.75 trillion. And after that, the numbers have gone up. Okay. But then suddenly they decided they will release model. They released two sizes, 20 billion and 120 billion. This is extremely good model. It is almost GPT quality model. But interestingly, they have managed. There's something called as quantization. We'll very quickly talk about it. But because of the quantization, they managed to fit it in 13 GB RAM, and that's the reason many laptops can run it even today. So these are some of the models. Now, once you take a model, if you see on the right hand side, you will see it gives the full details of that model, what that model is, and like if I had clicked on the 4 billion parameter model, you get to see a description. Important thing to look for the models is what capabilities those models bring. Most models can do a text, so they don't mention it. They can almost all models can take a text input and give a text output. So nobody mentions this. This icon of a vision, that means you can give it an image and it can read the image. And this is amazingly good because for a 4 billion parameter model to read an image and extract data out of it is a really good number of use cases have become possible on personal laptops simply because vision model came into the accessible range.
Right. Do we also have to look at the RAM requirement? I can see for Gemma 4, it says 6.33 GB. So does LMStudio automatically filters those models that will fit on a machine, or do I have to specify that this is my machine's RAM, and based on that, I pick which model will run? Do I have to do that filtering?
No, I don't think. Of course, if I search, they will show all the models which are bigger than that. They also do one more thing. So I'll come to quantization. So if I click here, you will see the model has multiple sizes. So they have a same model in 9.802 GB, then one in 7.21 and one in 6.33. And the 6.33 mine is the mine downloaded model because I decided to stay on the lowest. Now, they also, you will see this number Q8 underscore 0, Q6 underscore Q6, now Q4. Now these are called as quantization factors. Typical model will require 16 bits, AP16. Now, many of these guys create a method. It is not exactly cutting it. There is called as quantization where they will try to fit the model in 8 bits instead of 16 bits. Then they will try to fit it in 6 bits. Somebody will try to fit it in 4 bits. This is actually 16 bits fitted in 4 bits. And because of which, now
compression be a attitude, compression would be an appropriate word for that quantization, that a large language model is compressed into that much space.
In a way, you can say that. Yeah, it is. In a way, it is correct because, of course, the river compress can be decompressed exactly. Now, quantized model not necessarily go back to the original size because you lose some precision somewhere in the process. But of course, the interesting thing about the quantization, what we have seen so far, that model quality doesn't dramatically suffer. So, in spite of quantization, models have remained as capable as before. Some of that models have a lot of resilience in them. that whatever they learned. Okay, so even though you really take a 16 FP16 model and quantize it to 4-bit, it still retains significant capability to do the job. So that's why I picked up this. Like for example, one of the latest model is Gamma 3, not Gamma, Quen 3.6, 27 billion has come very recently, almost last 2 weeks or 1 week or a little more than a week. It has come out. Now that model is pretty big, but because 27 billion parameter technically means 54 GB RAM you need, but somebody has created a 2-bit quantization. And that 2-bit quantization, they are able to fit it into 13, 14 GB. Now, for getting something as powerful as Quen 3.6, 27 billion, let me tell you, the bigger the model is powerful, at least at the same time. If you look at in the same time frame, like if you look at all the models which were released in last 1 month, and if you take the biggest of them, they will be strongest among them. That bigger the model, as smarter, as intelligent it will be, and it will be powerful in doing certain tasks. It will be less powerful in doing certain tasks if model is of the lesser thing. It is not true across the time frame. Like as I said, today's 4 billion parameter models actually are far superior to Llama 6 models of 32 billion parameters.
Yeah.
Which were just released a year and a half back, 2 years back. So across the time frame, it is not true. But for the same time frame, better the model, and that's why, of course, for the personal use, you don't need to go for the bigger machines. But people who really need to do something deep, and I think a lot of people are nowadays going for 32 GB, 24 GB RAM machines so that they can run bigger models there. So this is what you do, and in this thing, it is pretty simple to download it. Whichever model you decide to download, now you can actually go and download it, and it will, once it gets downloaded, you can load it from here. So in my case, I have 2 models sitting here, Gamma 4 E4B instruct, which is sitting here, and I have Quen 3.59 billion parameter model. Interestingly, you will see their sizes. This is 6.10 GB and this is 5.89 GB. This is because of the quantization which was achieved with Quen 3.5 phenomenal for the model for some reason. And it is still fitting in 6 GB RAM. So maybe I'll start. I mean, most of my demo I'm going to run on Gamma. If you want, I can run Quen quickly. So I select.
So, Ravi sir,
Yeah.
just on the quantization, just 2 more inputs I wanted to give, especially like people like Dipti are coming from the hardware side also.
Yeah.
One is, you're right, across generations, comparison doesn't make sense in AI. Typically, even between months, it doesn't make sense. But in quantization, some interesting things have been done in that level. So it does matter at the end of the day, the 4-bit quantization, what has been utilized. So NF 4-bit quantization actually might be doing a better job.
Bridge, we lost you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I am able to hear you.
Yes, I can hear you as well. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I was trying to say that in a certain, in this open weighted models, NF4 etc. there, which is why all the 4-bit models are really good. They are much better than people who might be doing 16-bit quantization using some older techniques. So these techniques are also becoming better because one, like Ravi sir said, utilization on smaller machines etc. But also keep in mind that this is going to become a very important requirement for physical AI. So when physical AI wants their boards and all of bots and moving things, they want to have as small a model as possible to be able to judge quickly. So now Gemma 4 with vision is a fantastic thing for physical AI, you know. So that is where these technologies moving really fast and in the right direction.
Correct. And this is important point. I think now before you join, I think myself and Mugdha were talking about the applications of edge devices. And I think I mentioned only about the business application, but one of the applications of edge devices is also getting a smaller model to run in the really tiny devices, like what my Meta is trying with the glasses. They want to run a model in the glass. Now, if they have to run the model in the glass, then it need to be damn tiny to get in. Okay, so So some of those things are also happening because of the edge devices, because of the physical AI, because the robots need to have them, and they may not able to connect to servers. That is another reason model sizes are compressing like crazy.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope my model is loaded. So you can see this 3.59 billion. There are certain parameters which you need to set when you run it. Like one of them is how much, then somehow context length when you start in LMStudio, it starts with a small context length of 4096. So context length is how much maximum input a model can take without losing some part of it. So I generally keep it slightly higher, not so high, but I'll try something around 2930 or kind of a thing. It says reload needed. Okay. I'll load model again because I changed that parameter.
So, Ravi sir, in this
Yeah.
loading part, do you have to do anything on the machine side? Like I'm thinking all the way back to DOS games where we had to go and set up the high mem and the EMM 386 etc. before we could load those games. So in an
Yeah.
equivalent way, is there something we need to be ensuring, or this LM Studio and the OS will manage it between themselves?
No, it doesn't actually means now like one of the worry I have now is because it was taking time. I have too many open windows, and
Okay, okay,
specifically in Mac, the memory becomes a issue.
okay. So
So
you do need to kind of curate it a little bit.
oh yeah, you need to curate it a little bit to see whether it is coming correctly. So for example, I'll try to see my model. It is local here. And I'll again make it. For some reason, I'll just close my LMStudio and maybe try to close few more things. I don't need so many browsers also. I don't need PowerPoint. Maybe I might not need I need Microsoft Teams, right? Okay, because this is a
Yeah,
Teams.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thesis must be eating a lot of memory.
Correct. So I'll remove all those things which are there. I'll need some of them later in the second part, so I'll remove them now.
We need good old ICQ with low memory.
Yeah. So I'll open LMStudio and I select a model, indexing model files. Okay. I'll first try to open 23.5p first. It says it is running, but new chat. Let me see whether it is running. I'll I'll go for Gamma 4 maybe before that because that model for some reason is giving me trouble. Now Gamma 4 is loaded. You can see on the top. And if I say hi, so it is instantly responding. And of course, I can't show you. If I would have been in a physical class, I would have switched off my internet to show it is running from my laptop. But
But then we
uh,
won't be able to see it.
No, we'll
yeah,
trust you, sir.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So you can actually give any complex task. You can say, hey, can you think of a full plan for organizing party for birthday or maybe organizing birthday party for 10 people, and it will start thinking it is, and you will see it is pretty fast because
Yeah, the speed is showing it is not going to internet.
it is not okay. And one of the way to see it is if you go into the developer server, you will see here the logs coming. So
Yeah.
these are the 4 tabs. It is running still, but on a developer server, you can see the logs which it is sending out, and you will see here to gen how many tokens it is sending at a full speed. 12465, 1289, 1325. These tokens are continuously getting sent out, so that you can see here. And now it has given the output. It has gone through the, it does not get the quality of the output, but you can get a reasonably good quality output with specifically with Gamma 4. Means Gamma 4 has shown that it is model as capable as something which was available 16 billion a
Yeah.
year back. Okay.
Yeah.
So the model has that capability. Then the things which I really wanted to show you in the Gamma 4 is in the lobby. Should I admit? Yeah, you are
I
admitting.
just accepted. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, and it also supports some other thing, but I want to show it using other tools. But generally, getting into the settings part, uh, nowadays they have started supporting something called as LM Link. Again, I had not heavily tried that, but it allows you to share your laptop with other devices. So if you have a good laptop and your phone, you want to try that today, of course, Edge Gallery allows you to run it from the phone. But you can run the Gamma 4 here. You can create something called as LM Link. It is almost like somebody, some of you use the Telscale, which is a private network form. So you can actually form a private network between multiple devices. It is very recently introduced. It is not even last more than 2 months back or so. This was introduced, because of which now multiple devices can share the LMStudio. And LMStudio was more appearing like a non-developer tool. Ollama was appearing like a developer tool because of its CLI, and because of which it was able to run on Linux machines without any, almost in a headless fashion. Now LMStudio has also supported headless option, so you can actually also run it on a Linux machine and other things like that. So if you by any chance have access to GPU, which is
Yeah.
on a Linux machine, you can run LMStudio as a full-scale CLI and render that out for other people to access.
But Ravi sir,
So,
you mentioned when we had an earlier conversation that any machine generally comes with any what you say microprocessor comes with the GPU already. It's only that it may not be as powerful. So why that why certain machines can and some cannot, and also why certain OSs like Linux are more capable of doing this and Windows and cannot. If you can also quickly touch upon that.
yeah, so I think see, it is of course the GPU architectures internally. Hardware architecture also changed. Okay, like so, for example, if you take a server class GPU like a L4, it's our lowest end GPU, but it is still a server class. It's a maybe T4, which a lot of people use in Colab. If you use Google Colab, then you get the T4 as a GPU. T4 is also a server class GPU, absolute lowest class. Maybe L4 is slightly better. It on a 24 GB RAM, L4 GPU will give you far more performance than 24 GB RAM Mac M2 Pro, M3 Pro, M4 Pro, or M5 Pro also, because it was built for server class. So there is a huge amount of parallelization which is possible. The speeds are high. The whole chip architecture actually supports that, and that's why some of the GPUs are faster. I have so far seen the Metal is a good GPU on a Mac side. Now, why certain OSs don't do it? It is purely OS architecture. Like almost Windows, for some reason, requires too much of resources for its own functioning, and I'm sure it is improving. But of course, it is my personal opinion, and I'm not really great expert on Windows. But my personal opinion is the best way to use Microsoft machines are Windows subsystem for Linux, and specifically on Ubuntu.
Yep.
You will WSL on Ubuntu, you will probably start seeing the good. At least I feel comfortable with that. Means whenever I have to work with somebody's Windows machine, the first thing I request is get the WSL in and put it on Ubuntu.
Yep.
That at least it
Yeah,
feels
that
little
is
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah,
one
Sudeep,
thing I want to add is GPU earlier it was mainly for the gaming experience. So
Correct.
to enhance the gaming experience, it was added as per the requirement. And we as a developer, we never are into gaming or something like that, but we needed more RAM to process and run the binaries. So for the developers, it was basically the RAM. And GPU is basically the graphic. Means you have that experience when you are playing any game.
Correct. So
Correct.
even GPUs were originally built for graphics is the correct thing because that's why they call it graphics processing units as well.
Yes.
But over the period, NVIDIA has, I think, started calling it accelerated computing for a reason because they realized that large number of use cases are coming outside gaming.
So I
In
think the
yeah,
foundational thing, no, Ravi sir, that gaming, what it was actually doing in gaming, like we were calling graphics, Deepthi, like you said, but actually what it was doing was heavy mathematics
correct.
and the vector mathematics and basically matrix mathematics it was doing. And then our Bitcoin bros came and they realized that GPUs do maths faster than CPUs. So they started using and making it difficult
Yeah.
for all gamers. And then AI came and the NVIDIA did all this. So gamers like me, we are crying because of that because the GPUs are too costly now.
Yeah, I know. Correct, correct, correct.
But there's another angle also there which is interesting. I'm just studying that myself now. But the one company who is kind of betting differently is Google with their TPUs.
Hmm.
And their idea, their mudda is that GPUs are still generic, are still doing statistical mathematics, can do for anything, can do for graphics, can do for anything.
Correct.
Um, and it has to be powerful enough. And like Ravi sir said, an OS has to decide at its control level that, okay, this instruction will go to the GPU directly and will not go to CPU and then to
Mhm.
GPU, that kind of thing. But what Google is saying is that we are going to make mathematical unit, but specifically for inferencing. So
Correct.
TPUs are not general purpose GPUs. They are GPUs specifically for tensors, specifically for
Yeah.
inference. So that is
Correct.
again an interesting angle they are looking into.
Correct. So actually, when Google started tensor processing unit, I don't remember the name of the person, but that person left and he started something called as Grok, GROQ, Grok,
Yeah.
and they built something called a language processing unit, LPU, which was meant for transformers and very specific. And even today also, if you go to Grok Cloud, GROQCLOUD, Grok Cloud as a website, you will find all the open source models listed there, and the speeds which you get are mind-boggling. Okay? Like you ask, take the same Quen is maybe even take as big as possible 27 billion, 32 billion, or larger than that, and give a query, and the speed at which you get the response back is phenomenal because it was only built for language processing. Interestingly, NVIDIA acquired them last year.
Yes, yes, they did.
Yeah, now Grok Cloud has become a part of NVIDIA. Rather, if you see the this year's GTC video, NVIDIA has launched a Grok Cloud also as a part of the new stack. So in some way, these movements will be there. There will be special purpose. This was like LPU was for language processing, so it was built for transformer LLMs alone. Forget any other use case. What Google is trying to do with tensor processing unit or TPU, what they call as, is purely because of they think that the pure mathematical thing for the AI inference is important. So this lot of these special purpose hardwares will come in the market. Of course, the challenge with all of them is that NVIDIA has built a huge stack on CUDA, and almost all of them have to do that overcoming of that. That is the core challenge. That is the only reason NVIDIA is still so powerful
Yeah,
in the
completely.
market. It's purely because of the dominance of the CUDA.
And it's a
If there
powerful,
is a competing technology, then probably the dependence on CUDA is kind of bypassed, and there would be some better technology and probably cheaper
yeah.
one.
The problem is that CUDA technology is at such a low architectural level that people are finding it easier to create wrappers around it rather than go and do. Like so in some ways
Mhm.
AMD and all also, if you notice, They are trying to play with it rather than completely replace it at this point of time. Now, there must be some research inside trying to replace it, but it is a fundamentally solid thing they have created and putting much ahead of the game. So, abhi usko hilana is not that easy. So, people are trying to live with it, kind of a thing.
Mhm.
So, in AMD, for example, one of the things is they are trying desperately to showcase like Apple Silicon is able to do decent job, right? With the having a unified GPU CPU. AMD is trying to show that for a lot of the small models, a lot of the lighter models, CPU, their CPU is enough. It will do
Correct.
enough, right? So because I was interacting with some of them and they're trying to tell me, can you give me a product and can you, when you go to your customers, can you check how much of the work they do can be done on CPU? You know, so there's a GPU part of AMD which is trying to fight with NVIDIA, but then there's another part of AMD which is trying to showcase, hey, these models can run on our CPU also. So it's an
Yeah,
interesting game at the lower architecture level.
correct, correct.
Mhm.
And I think that will happen even if you take Qualcomm for the mobile processors. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like my OnePlus phone can run Gamma 3, that is the older version of 1 billion on the phone. Now, I don't have
Mhm.
GPU inside that. But
Yeah.
simply on a phone CPU, it runs that Qualcomm CPU, it runs the model, and it is decent speed.
No,
Many they are,
Qualcomm Snapdragon does have a GPU in it. I just checked.
or do they have? Because I don't know. I could not locate it because when I tried to look at the hardware spec in my OnePlus, I was not able to see it. But the speed is phenomenal. Okay, so I was surprised the way Qualcomm
No, the
managed that.
Qualcomm, those Snapdragons are really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the thing which I wanted to show on a thing, but real extension of this I found because many of you might be realizing that LLM started as a movement, but then very quickly world moved to agentic world, and then I suddenly found a good technology called as AnythingLLM. Again, available on almost all possible platforms like Windows, Mac. They are available on phone. Okay, only phone, they are only available on Android phone, not on iOS. But otherwise, they are available Windows, Mac, Linux, all three. And you can actually use LLM. I connected my LMStudio as LLM for that. So it is still the Gamma 4 model which you are seeing here is connected to that. I can get into the thing. I take the new thread now. I will show what power it brings. I will show initially first normal thing. So if I say, okay, can you, again, I'll take the same thing. Can you plan a party of 10 people? That I don't want to spend too much time. Now, I'll also open my LMStudio, get into the server mode, and you will see it is actually processing that request 89, 93%, 95%. So actually, these two devices have got connected now, and it is processing the request, and it has started giving me the answer. The perfect party for 10 people. I need a little more information. The occasion, party planning framework for 10 people. This is doing a little bit more thinking and giving the answer. But what I like about this is it brings certain agentic characteristic to the table. For example, I run a company called as Incentive. So if I create open a new thread, and I say from my rack, can you tell me what is the incentive? So it is actually, and I'll show my RAG also. It is absolutely inbuilt. Like if any of you have built a RAG solution, you have to build a vector databases, you have to build an embedding. Now this tool you don't have to do anything, and it has put up the exact information. Incentive is what? It is a voucher program, wallet management. It is getting my functionality out. Now the way it works is simply go here. I had uploaded 3 PDF. The 2 people who joined, I did a KT for them. So their KT document I uploaded. I uploaded one PDF of my PPT, and this is going to remain here. Now, for example, Chanakya, if you think that, okay, your recipes you want to store here, you can actually bring all your recipes store here. Next time when you ask a question, sorry, You are able to hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think I'm hearing an echo. So is there somebody putting the thing on a speaker or something, because or external speaker? Because I'm hearing my now it is okay. Okay, sir. So uh, uh, so if you put it use this thing, it internally creates a RAG. So it has a vector database of its own. It does the chunking on its own. You simply upload the file from here. Simply go upload the file, it stores it, and that way you can create the personal databases. Now, those personal databases can be anything. You can say, hey, I really want to create them. I think it allows you to folder structure also. So you can actually create a folder, say, oh, this is the school homework for my kids. This is my office work. This is going to be some hobbies which I'm going after, and I need to have that information. You almost have your personal RAG using anything LLM. Okay, so
You can basically create your own knowledge base, whatever,
yes,
your work and whatever related information that you often access, you can put in
correct,
there. And it will automatically create a RAG out of it so that it
correct,
can reference. AI can
correct.
reference it. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
can
That's
difference.
awesome.
Yeah, and that means whatever queries you are asking or whatever. Suppose if you ask, like I asked for the birthday party, but suppose I would have come to Fincentive and I say, okay, hey, I want to do a launch of a Fincentive program. Can you help me build a launch plan? Now that will not be generic. It will use my RAG. So it will be highly contexted to my work. Otherwise, it is going to do something generic for you. So this tool again. It is a free tool. You can install it, connect it to your local LLM provider. It connects to multiple LLM provider. It also has the ability to run LLM on its own. I didn't try that though. Okay, but you can. The RAG was one capability I like. It also provides many. Okay, like if I go into its skills, or maybe I'll show the another thing. We are going to talk about OpenClaw at some point, but OpenClaw made popular that you need not require a chat interfaces. You can talk to your bots via normal channels. So this is a channel called as Telegram. Now I'll go into my Telegram, and I have multiple bot. Does it say?
Ravi sir, one quick question on the RAG part.
Yeah.
When it is chunking, uh, is it using any embedding
Yeah,
LLM or embedding
oh
model?
yeah, yes, it does actually. So if you look at LLM, it was LMStudio. If you look at vector database, it was LansDB. If you look at embedder, it was Mini LM L6 V2. And
Oh, it
interestingly,
comes with
model
it.
it, yeah, it
Okay.
comes with it. It's a tiny embedder, 23 MB. It can run on CPU practically.
Oh, but yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And it also talks about splitting strategies, how it should chunk it, how much overlap you want to keep it. Typically, means of course it is basic. I don't think it has a smart chunking like paragraph and image extractions and
Correct. Correct.
those
No,
kind
but
of methods.
consistency, that's all we require because what we are feeding it is typically quite structured itself, right? Yeah.
Correct. So it has. I had not again tried, but it has a voice capability. So you can speak to it. This agent. So and of course again I'm not expert, but I know Mukta you spoke about that. This is your interest topic, so maybe you want to explore it. It has a
Mhm.
connection to Whisper.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what that Andres Karpathy said something about having personal knowledge base. This could be a great tool to create that and entirely offline. What I see possibility here, I can keep my financial documents inside that RAG. I can keep my say government documents there for reference, and I can using my local LLM, local small model. I can query that and ask questions regarding that. So the
Correct. And
Actually,
you can
what it
folder
does.
them.
Sorry, go ahead, Ravi. Sorry.
No. I was just thinking you can create folder structure. That's it. Yeah.
No, I was thinking out loud, Ravi, sir, when you were highlighting that,
Hmm.
Mugdha, what you were saying, like you'll try out certain things one time, and as you often do in optimizing it or creating a solution around it, here you might just create some agent skills to make it happen like on a weekly basis or whatever, the thing that you do. So, yeah.
Yeah. And since you talked, okay, let me first show the telecom thing. So this is I have got multiple bot, but this Ravi any bot is actually connected to my that agent. So I first just say go and say whether it is working. So I just say hi to see whether it is working. Yeah, no workspace configured. You switch to specific one. I'll do that.
We have to do a survey to find out in Telegram how many people are actually people and how many people are just bots
Bot.
connected to LLMs. or
Yeah.
Actually, what I discovered that a OpenClaw provides its own chat interface. You don't even need to integrate anything. But the only thing is, then you have to go to the its chat GUI and chat there rather than being away from it and chatting from your mobile phone.
Actually,
So,
I'll
So
tell
the
you what.
OpenClaw TUI is beautiful, but like that, exactly, you can be somewhere driving and then you can give it instructions. A very convenient thing.
See, and also see what is happening now. Enterprise use cases, at least many people are now talking about virtual employees, and
mhm,
they want agents to have exactly like employees, the email IDs, the channels. Like OpenClaw supports even Microsoft Teams, WhatsApp. So they want. Telegram has become popular channel because Telegram bot integration is simplest. But
mhm,
people really want. They want the emails to be there so that they can send an email and it responds back on an email. So because of that, this uh, suddenly these channel interfaces have become popular. Otherwise, the chat was a popular interface for years.
mhm.
Now,
But
means that
way before Ravi, sir, could you please, for Chanakya's benefit, could you actually break down what OpenClaw is in relation to the small models and what exactly we are doing with it?
okay, I'll
So,
do that. I'll do that. Give me just 5 minutes. I'll close this thing and get into OpenClaw quickly.
mm, sure.
So, uh, so I will say hi again. Hey, why? One minute. I'll make a last try. Otherwise, I'll give it up on this. So it understands my workspaces. I got two assistant workspace and demo workspace. So I click demo workspace, default active chats, switch to demo workspace by default. Hi. Now, now you'll see this typing icon. It says, hello, how can I help you today? Now this has actually come from anything LLM, which has come from LMStudio. So
Wow.
all those three connections are active. And I can even same thing I can ask here also. Okay, I don't want to ask the party again, but I'll say, can you write quick code? And of course, this is the wrong channel to do that. For Prime, and I go into my LMStudio, and you will see that it is actually executing the code. It is giving the tokens from here. So it is now three-way connection. This is actually generating one by one the code which it had asked for. It is actually
Mhm.
talking to anywhere any LLM as an agentic tool, which is talking to LMStudio. So there is a LLM which is of our own, which is our own model, our own agent tool, and now our own channel to talk to it. Okay. So
This is actually great. You don't
yeah,
need Chat GPT or Codex or Cloud Code. You can generate code this way. This is good.
yeah. Of course, the quality of code will matter. So there is a, of course,
Mhm,
again, it will be exercised in its own right. There's a tool called as Open Code,
mhm,
Yep.
mhm. Thanks.
which is a open source coding editor. So far, I was always struggling to make it run with the open models because specifically my laptop bandwidth memory was not good. First time with Gamma 4, it generated something decent. Now I won't call it a Cloud Code quality. Cloud Code as a model is powerful. So agents, however good agents you build, sometimes you don't reach. But if your program requirements are simple, if you're not building some extremely complex code bases, even Gamma 4 and open code as a combination might be amazingly good combination. Yeah. Now,
Yeah, OpenCode surely is. It just makes it slightly easier than Cloud Code to connect to all the models that we want to. But you're right
correct.
about that, Ravi sir. Like end of the day, the model difference is there. I mean, for the normal interactions we do, this is fine. Gemma 4, even whatever benchmarking I've seen, is surely going into what foundational models were doing just like some months ago. So Gemma 4 is surely a great model.
Correct.
But overall, if they are small, then we have to be very specialized in what we are interacting with them.
Correct, correct. So yeah, that's why it almost depends upon your requirements. Okay. So if you're building a large scale enterprise application, I don't think you have choice to either Opus 4.66, 4.7 or a ChatGPT 5.4, 5.3. You don't have a choice to those models. Okay. You need to stick with them because they are far ahead compared to other models. But if your tasks are really building some quick applications, some quick web demos, this one is also good. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, before leaving this thing, I just want to show it has a full agent skill capability, and you can build a full skill library. So, Brijesh, you talked about we can add skill to it. You can add skills, RAG, long-term memory, scraper, website, file system access. It also support MCP servers. Of course, we try to become a little bit more ambitious and try to see whether I can do playwright, and it simply didn't work much. But if I simply go and say, why will you open Swiggy site?
And place orders for pizza.
Huh? Yeah, for pizza for all. So so it is using Playwright. It opens the Swiggy. It goes all the way there. But somewhere
Mhm.
the Swiggy or something in it's not nothing to do with Swiggy. Something to do with the thing. It is blocked. Something is getting blocked, and I need to crack that. But I'm sure it has a full scale. Means Playwright itself has become a powerful tool for UI integration, and many
Mhm.
agentic coding tools are now integrating Playwright as a MCP
Mhm.
server in
Yeah.
that. So if we crack that problem, maybe we can even tell the model saying, okay, look for this. I'm hungry. This is the kind of food I'm looking for. Please place an order. Even Swiggy has its own MCP server, but unfortunately, again, they are restricted it to whitelisted app. So it
Right,
doesn't
right, right.
allow. Yes. Otherwise, if they would have allowed,
They
of
will be
course,
getting all the whitelisted apps there.
yeah, they had given some list of whitelisted apps saying only these apps can call it. So what's the point? I don't know of opening the protocol. But and again, Swiggy thing is they are still not integrated agentic payment protocols, and of course, agentic payment protocols are still very immature in that sense. You have to set up a mandate and then make them work.
So
But
one
they,
interesting thing here could be, Ravi sir, instead of using the Playwright MCP,
hmm,
what if we use a skill to call browser use, right?
yeah,
And let
yeah,
browser user do the part of how it wants to send to Playwright or whatever, right?
correct, correct. It is possible. Rather, in its skill repository, it has its own browser use use case, and of course, I mean, of course, I still not got a very successful experience teach end to end, but a lot of people have got that. Okay, so it might be limitation with my setup, but people even it has a support for a what you call as the headless browsers
Hmm.
Mhm.
where UI need not come. The UI need not come. Okay, it simply keeps working with the browser DOM internally and keep working with that. Okay, so those kind of options are coming, and of course, agentic browsers are coming now.
Yeah.
And because of agentic browsers, they will be far more agent friendly compared to even though today they are their owners agent friendly, but tomorrow most likely open agent browsers will also
Mhm.
come in the market. Yeah.
I
So
suppose that providers like Swiggy might have a agent-specific interface, headless.
They should have. They should
Yeah,
soon have it. Yes. And Chrome
because
also is coming with a change like that.
correct,
Chrome
correct.
itself is coming up with a way that they are trying to dissuade people from scraping. So instead, they're coming up with hooks available. So you'll end up having a Chrome MCP or a Chrome API server that
Yeah,
we can invoke instead of going to the actual Chrome browser.
right.
correct, correct,
This
correct,
is
correct.
exactly the problem that I had run into when I was creating that tool browser extension that Rich probably knows from AI Study Group. So that's a problem that you come across when you are trying to scrape. Sorry,
Correct.
sir, I disturbed your flow. You go ahead.
No, 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 no. So I'm just saying, okay, these are some of the tools. I had not explored them all. I'll leave it to you. But browser tool is there, which is other than Playwright. They have their own browser tool. One need to explore that and see how good it is, whether it works. Okay, so I couldn't actually explore it end to end. They also have something called as AnythingLM mobile, where you can run anything mobile on Android phone and connect the two devices to each other. So some of the capabilities which are available with the desktop can become available with the local device also. So
Okay, this should be explored. Yeah.
yeah. So the point I really wanted to bring to the table is that okay, it is not only about local LLM, it is really the whole ecosystem is coming together because personal agentic apps are also coming. Otherwise, so far all agentic apps were enterprise oriented. But anything LLM seems to be a personal app, completely agentic, bringing the same capabilities like tool, channels, RAG to people who want to use it for personal users. Yeah. Now, I'll get quickly into OpenClaw. Of course, my integration may not be great, but I'll talk about it. OpenClaw is tell me yes. I had deployed, first of all, good practice for OpenClaw deployment if anybody is trying to deploy it on a machine which is not your regular day-to-day machine.
VM.
Yeah, yeah. So, so I had deployed it on a separate machine. Uh, Now, the problem with this is that it doesn't have a GPU because getting a GPU based VM is extremely costly. Like as I said, the cheapest GPU which I know L4 which is available from people like the players like E2E who provide the GPU in India. L4 is available for 20,000, so 30,000 rupees per month, 30 or 35,000 rupees per month. Now that's expensive for running an agent with a GPU. So
So
one of the solutions.
if you're going for a small model, then this is what you need to get.
Yeah, but the solution which a lot of people have found is actually go and buy Apple Mac Minis.
Mac Mini. That is like a simple solution out of the box.
It's out of box. You run the Mac Mini. Mac Mini can run the OpenClaw. It can run the local model because it
Yeah.
is a metal GPU. And that's the reason moment OpenClaw came in across the world, Mac Mini sale went up
But the thing is
globally.
that I've been telling people you don't need to buy M4 or something. You can even buy M2s. One of my friends is running it on his old M1. Like the
Huh.
fact that the chip is unified is the important part. Everything else is like only memory hai to theek hai.
Correct. Yeah. So as long as it can run a basic model, it can do. Okay. So this is the thing which I run here. I'm running, showing the OpenClaw onboarding process just to show okay, what are the kind of things you do with it, and then I'll show it from the Telegram interface also. But if you go into, oh, I'm sorry, OpenClaw onboard.
So to address Chanakya when we are showing this is like the fact that you're not technical. Chanakya is actually in some ways an advantage because a lot of the agentic stuff, as opposed to just LLM and writing code to call LLM and all that, but a lot of the agentic stuff actually will be great for people who have a very clear idea what they want to do and they have the habit of delegating actions to people think to do it. So whatever you would have delegated to a contract software person or something, you will be delegating to OpenClaw or you'll be delegating to anything LLM. So the agentic flow actually helps a lot for people who are ideating, who have a plan, and who can do the difficult part of sales and marketing, but the remaining part engineering can be given. It's people like me who are technical struggle because now these guys are doing what I used to do. So what am I supposed to do? So that gets very confusing at times.
Even I am clueless most of the time what exactly I'll ask OpenClaw to do for me. So yeah, what he Bridge is saying is absolutely right. You will probably have a better idea.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Yeah. So very quickly, when you start, it tells you very promptly that it is not going to be. And interestingly, Chanaka, for you, OpenClaw implement installation is technical in nature. Even though there are people who are trying to make it simpler by, like, one company which tried to make it simpler is Hostinger, who give pre-installed OpenClaw on their virtual machine solution. But there also I struggled a little bit. Okay, so because I was setting it up for somebody said, "Hey, why don't you help me?" And it was one click as promised. But in reality, maybe it was my technical unnecessary interest that I did something that I ended up spending almost a day debugging it. But it is a little bit overwhelming. But the way it goes is you actually start, it has a CLI kind of interface. Uh, I will use the maybe quick start as a model. The first thing it does is it asks you what LLM you want to use. Now, interesting thing about the OpenClaw that there are multiple ways LLMs can be used. One way to use LLM is something called as OAuth, where you use the capability of a existing $20, $30, $100 plan which you have as it is. You don't use your APIs. That two things. One is the APIs and other is OAuth. Now, OAuth only OpenAI supports. Nobody else supports. Almost everybody else, moment the OpenClaw started, all the OAuth providers came back and they said, oh, because of OpenClaw, now we are stopping OAuth for everyone else. Okay, so OpenAI is the only one, and only reason they support is because the Peter Sternberger who created OpenClaw, they acqui-hired him, and in some way they are, even though you can't call it acquired, but there's some way they are now sponsoring the OpenClaw as the only major commercial sponsor. So they are the only one who support it, and that implementation is decent. Like you can see LMStudio is there also, but challenge is then you need to know how to run LMStudio with that. But I'll go with the OpenAI.
So
And
here, these two are decent for people who just want to try out. I think Minimax and Moonshot, Kimi K 2.6, for example. So only problem is its cost. So if you go for Moonshot, you'll have to go and pay them money. But if you take a serverless API, then again it's a powerful thing. But for our own models, yeah, we have to go this OpenAI way.
correct, because OpenAI is the only one who supports this Codex browser login.
Yeah.
So you can actually go to Codex browser login. It actually gives you a URL like this. You click, click means control click. And when you control click, it brings you to the OpenAI login page. And if you do login using OpenAI, now it appears like it has broken, but it is not. This URL which it has redirected to, you have to go back and give it to OpenClaw saying this URL it redirected to. And it knows how to extract code out of it.
So these are technical things we should know.
Yeah. So it has picked up the OpenAI Codex GPT 5.4 as a model. No, only other way to work with the foundation model is giving API keys.
Yeah.
And API keys are costly. Means I tried with OpenAI API key, I put $10 and I was doing some extensive work with OpenClaw. It took it literally like 1.5 days to finish $10. So while my GPT 5.4 is a $20 plus account and it reasonably lasts. If I do huge amount of work, then I go out of tokens and then it keeps me out of token for 3-4 days. But currently my usage is not that huge where I don't day in day out do something with the OpenClaw. In that case, it lasts. And if somebody has the money to pay $100 codex, then it will last like anything. Okay. So currently I'm saying keep current. I'm not changing the model. It's going to be OpenAI codex. Now this is the second thing where it allows you to connect so many channels. Okay, I showed the Telegram channel for anything, but I also have OpenClaw on Telegram channel. But interestingly, it can connect Microsoft Teams. It can do
Yeah,
Slack. Yeah.
a lot has been added. I mean, when I saw it first, I think we only had WhatsApp, Telegram, and I think Slack.
Correct. No, now it is really good. They keep expanding. So Telegram is most popular because of the bot integration is simplest. WhatsApp is also very straightforward. What they've done is WhatsApp has something called as a link device feature, where you can add your phone, laptop or something because you want to use WhatsApp on a laptop. So you go and scan that QR code.
Yeah.
And it becomes a link device. And in recently, WhatsApp open link device API so that the third-party apps can build link devices. So these guys use the third link device capability to generate a QR code. You scan the QR code using your WhatsApp, and then you can send a message, but you can only send message to yourself and nobody else. Because when you send a message to yourself, it goes to the bot. Yeah. Currently, I'll skip it because it is already set, so I don't want to set thing. Another thing is it has got phenomenal number of search providers. Many of us might have used Tavily. Means it is one of the very popular agentic search tool available, but Brave is popular. Almost everybody has a search tool nowadays. Okay, so I continue to use Tavily. Mine is already configured, so it is not asking for the API key. Otherwise, you need to give API key. Then another thing is the skills. These are some of the skills which are available here, but that is not all. Rather, OpenClaw's power is in two areas. One is something called as Claw Hub and skills, and it has huge number of skills listed here, and people keep uploading skills. So you can actually only skill probably you should install is the Claw Hub skill because it has a Claw Hub skill here.
Yeah.
So install a Claw Hub skill and just tell them, okay, this skill is on Claw Hub, go and install it, and it installs it for you. But it has a lot of skill in many areas. And
Safely and carefully, we should install because
yeah. Correct. See, anything with OpenClaw, one has to be careful. That's why I gave a dedicated machine so that it doesn't do even email access. Also, it has its own email. I created a separate Gmail for it.
I will do.
Yeah. So because
So
you
one
don't
of the things is I think they have done a good job, Glow Hub. So if you go into one of the items, they are doing a certain amount of scanning themselves and they're also getting it verified. But at the end of the day, it is a buyer's beware kind of a situation. So again, there's a tendency, just open source habit, many of us have that, oh, let it just get any skill it wants from Glow Hub. But we have to keep auditing it from time to time.
Correct. And actually, the initial days of Lahab, it was really a hacker's
Wild
paradise.
West. Yes.
Yeah. So, but now because they are part of OpenAI, now OpenAI and NVIDIA, both of them have put their security teams in. So they are doing lot of releases which are security related. So product is getting hardened,
So
but it
with
is
the
still
Microsoft
not.
coming in, putting efforts here, one thing is clear. Like you said, Ravi, sir, security is coming in. It has therefore also removed certain flexibility of OpenClaw that we were seeing earlier, right, Ravi, sir? I mean, it was making itself and multiple agents could be operating within the same session and all of those things. And now there is much more security, which is making things safer, but it is not like the wild things we could do in the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. So it will come at a cost. Actually, what you're saying is right, Kake. So wherever and there are many people who are doing it. Many things are emerging there. Like one of the things which emerged is NVIDIA releasing something called as OpenShell.
Yeah.
Now, OpenShell is a secured sandbox. It is almost like a Docker container.
Correct.
And you can run the OpenClaw in that OpenShell, and in that it is pretty secure. So they are, of course, they released their own version called as NemoClaw.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so and they are
NemoClaw
calling
is
it
OpenClaw in OpenShell, and while we do Tailscale and all for everything between the internet and outside and in OpenClaw, that's where we are managing the prompting side of things. The only change they have mainly done is they have created a barrier between OpenClaw and Claw Hub also. So anything
correctly.
going through that also is going through a classifier again, checking for things before it will allow it to come through. So
Correct.
yeah, they've created that one. But one minus point of the NemoClaw is out of the box. One, it runs on their environment, so is that GPU and everything. So one advantage it runs on their environment, but it's kind of that Nemotron is sometimes I feel a
As a
little too
model.
heavy, yeah, a
Yeah,
little too slow. So that is one problem. But that OpenShell idea is something that we can recreate, like you're recreating by having it in a different machine. So
correct.
that's what's doing.
Correct. So many people actually, and one of the reasons NemoClaw is doing that also because NemoClaw is positioned as an enterprise offering and not really for personal use, even though they're encouraging people to try it out. In their
Yeah,
own thing, they're saying is a NemoClaw for enterprises so that there can be that large number of enterprise agents.
yeah. But they're going heavy for that in the sense that the only software discussion uh, the CEO had in his keynote was NemoClaw. Everything else he was
Correct.
talking about was hardware or physical AI and talking to
Correct.
investors speak. This was the only thing he spoke about, which was about
Correct.
builders, which was NemoClaw. Yeah.
And
And
right, and if you've
so
seen the
bringing
details,
the conversation back to
yeah,
the open cloud, what we are trying to look at here,
yeah,
okay, this is open cloud. I can do a lot of things for enterprise, and there are a lot of technicalities there. What we would like to focus from a person who is using small models or open cloud for their personal use, would you recommend certain actions that open Claw can perform for them? Any skills that you would like to recommend that would
Yeah,
be
so
useful for an individual user?
correct. So OpenClaw on a small language model, my only suggestion is that go for a Mac Mini. There is no other viable option, and that also dedicated Mac Mini. Okay, because
Mhm.
there is no viable option, economically viable option in any other. Okay, because you want to run a, means otherwise we have to figure out something like a tail scale or something. I wanted to do that, I couldn't. I have a tail scale running on all my machines. So I wanted to see whether my laptop Gamma 4 can work with the OpenClaw which is running on the cloud.
Mhm. Okay, even if we discount that part of small models, let's take
Hmm,
any open source models,
correct.
not small models specifically. We would like to see something where OpenClaw actually delivers value to an individual. It
Correct.
can do certain things that an individual may need day-to-day basis. So if you
So
could
this,
give some examples of that.
so this is my agent, which is here.
Mhm.
And one of the thing about this, like for example, I'll go back to my incentive example. Suppose if I want to quickly prepare a note, so I'll tell him, okay, I need to prepare a note for a mall provider to build voucher program for them. But just to make it clarify as a incentive, prepare voucher program for them. Will you make quick X Word document for me? I don't know whether it can do Word document, but I'll just tell him. And if it can't, it will tell me. One of the things which I like about OpenClaw is that if it doesn't have a skill, it creates one.
It
It
creates.
writes the Python code, it writes the code on its own, it
Mhm.
installs software. That is the idea of giving a full machine to it, is that it almost takes the full charge of that machine and does whatever it needs to do. I said, I
Mhm.
shall draft a clean, editable word note for you now and share the file path. So you'll see it is still doing a typing. It is using my OpenAI thing. The doc itself is drafted. I'm just converting into proper doc. It keeps telling me this is ChatGPT habit. It will keep giving you an update in between saying it is doing the work, it is doing the work.
Mhm.
So one thing about OpenClaw, Mugdha, is OpenClaw is for personal. What we're trying to retrofit it into an enterprise is still not done. It is still not safe for unless you're a small business running like a personal thing. But OpenClaw is essentially out of the box. You can say an assistant for personal usage at this point of time.
Mhm. Right. That can run basically 24 by 7, unlike
24/7 it's
20.
running. So
Yeah.
what happens in my friend's case is his wife on WhatsApp makes a list of things she wants to buy, maybe dresses, maybe some stuff for the house, and she then sends this to a group chat which has OpenClaw in it and him in it. He does nothing. OpenClaw picks it up. He has set it up in such a way that there's a skill which goes and checks some big basket and Amazon and all of this, finds the marketing thing, finds the best price. He has given it access to fill up everything up till the point of the cart. At the point of the cart, it has said pick it up from the Amazon wallet or Big Basket wallet. He has filled up money ahead of that. If the wallet is empty, then OpenClaw has to come and ask him for permission on WhatsApp, and he will go and say, "I'll do it myself." Otherwise, the wallet will do it, and it will just come back. So it's continuously पीछे engine चल रहा है. His wife doesn't know OpenClaw from anything else. She's just been told कि आप जो चाहिए लिख दो in this chat, and it will be done.
Nice. And probably the OpenClaw is able to access Amazon and say Big Basket because they are using the user's own account to log in and access it that way, right? Not
Correct.
web scraping.
Not web scraping. So it is kind of web scraping in the sense that it is able to understand the account, is able to go there like PageRight. It is able to go to the account and say, okay, this means this and that means that. So it has some skills there. But so as another example, he had told them to make me a site, right? Like we have all done, all the vibe coding we have done. We are told to make sites and then we go and deploy, right? So here it went and said, okay, I can deploy it on a hosting. right? For example, he said, no, don't deploy on Hostinger. Like he's doing all this from his WhatsApp. Don't deploy on Hostinger. Go to this site. I've got a $5 cost there. Make the site there, deploy it there, but make sure you don't cost more than $5. So he went in, and he gave the credentials for the site to him, the OpenClaw. So the OpenClaw went and did it. That is what you can give the credential, it will work, but you have to be careful with it.
So coming back to Ravi's demo.
Yeah. So it is saying that it has created a page. Only problem which I face with it is it actually goes and creates it in a server.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to pull it back from there. So I'm just trying to do that. Lord. And it says that it has created a file called as homeclaw.openclaw.workspace and Vincentive. This is the 24th 11:30. So this is the file. I bring it to my machine. Yeah, my machine new. And so this is the document it created. Now I'll probably open it and see. So it has said incentive, subject this, introduction, incentive would like to propose a voucher program for a mall to help. Objective of the voucher program. Now it knows everything about me. Interestingly. Benefit to the mall, incentives role, suggest next steps, closing. It even asked me, do you want me to put your name and title? And I was so impatient to do a demo, so I said, I'll put it myself, you give the file. But otherwise it would have gone and added my name and everything. So it has significant now, at least for me, I use it as my personal assistant. And of course, it has a technology underlying which generally typical OpenClaw will not have. And Mugdha, you mentioned about Karapati's implementation of a file system. Now, so that is what is called as what he called
Personal knowledge base.
personal knowledge base means he called something LLM wiki LLM something he called LLM wiki or something.
Yeah, LLM wiki, yeah.
LLM wiki. So if you look at the LLM wiki implementation, there is a guy called as Gary Tan.
Yeah.
He is a Y Combinator CEO. He took that LLM wiki implementation and he said, can I create a general brain for agents? It is exactly same implementation. He created a brain, he put it behind OpenClaw as a skill. And he said, now henceforward, all your memory is in this brain. So it started writing things in a brain, and I'll show the GBrain. So this is the project. It is an open source project. It actually can store things as a concept. You can actually say, okay, this is a person, every time you say something, it extracts information from it. And it says, oh, you're talking about person. Oh, you're talking about company. Oh, you're talking about place. So something what we call as ontology or a taxonomy. It has a generic taxonomy at this point of time, but it automatically takes the document, while typical RAG was simply chunking it. While it actually takes it and it starts creating a cross references to that. And it stores it in the brain. Initial version was a file based. Later on, he realized that moment the files reached 10,000, 20,000 kind of a number, the file based file system became slow. So he also implemented then Supabase based version, where the vector DB is used, because Postgres also has a vector DB, PG vector. So Supabase based version was used. So my OpenClaw is also GBrain enabled. And that's why it remembers a lot of steps. So if I ask who are the people involved in incentive. So now this query, it is answering from its memory, but it is actually making a GBrain call. It is actually looking company, then it is going and saying, okay, so these are the people. Rupesh is the founder, Ravi is the CTO, then Lakshmi is a financial operation. It knows the names, who are the people who are doing things.
Yeah.
And it has lot. Like there are many documents I prepared nowadays where I use this and I keep updating document to it. I keep giving new information. I keep talking to this agent via this chatbot all the time. Suppose if I have given an email to it of its own. So if I think that there is some important information about incentive, important mails about incentive, it should know. I simply forward those mails to that mailbox. And moment they goes to that mailbox, it reads it and it knows, oh, this mail is something for me and I need to remember it. And it classifies it and starts putting it in the memory. So somehow I realized that the OpenClaw grows on you. It is not something which you start using on a day one. I was also struggling what to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay. But as you start using it more and more, and another temptation which I had to avoid is trying to tell him how to install something. Nowadays, if I need something, yeah, I need something, I go and tell him to build one, okay, and it builds. Like I wanted to build a full crypto trading capability on my Binance wallet. Actually described the problem to me saying, okay, I need a Binance wallet. It went, it did a research on Binance wallet, it read the Binance document, it wrote the Python code, it built a skill called as Binance. And then it said only place where it got stuck, that VM which had taken, that VM provider was blocked by Binance. So then when it realized that it is blocked by Binance and the query call is not going out because Binance has blocked it, it created an arrangement with me. It said that I will actually create a GitHub repository. It also has access to my GitHub because of the GH, which is a CLI tool for GitHub. So it can create new repositories also for me. Okay. So it said I'll create a GitHub repository. I'll put this code in this. I'll give you exact shell command. You call that shell command, it will automatically pull the GitHub repository and run this Python code. And we'll talk about with it. I'll say, I want to, it will say, this is the kind of trade I think I should execute for you. I want to buy this thing. Do you want to go ahead? I'll say yes. It will simply give me a long shell command. It will say, just copy the shell command, put it in your laptop. It will, that command will, it will that ampersand, ampersand, ampersand. The first code will actually go and do a git pull or git clone, then cd into that directory, Python, that file name, it, and in the end, only thing it will tell me just whatever is the output, give it back to me so that I know what happened on your laptop. And once I give it, it will say, ah, yeah, your code has gone through. Do you want me to put the, like generally typical cryptos, you put one code buy trade and then you put two sell trades, one for the target price, one for the stop loss. So it will say, should I now go and put those two trades? It will say, okay. It will give another shell command, gone. If Binance wouldn't have blocked that, even this hassle wouldn't have been needed. But even this hassle was simpler for me. I don't have to think about anything. Simply copy, cut, paste command and paste it on my terminal. So it is pretty smart, Kaka. Like at one point of time, I realized its own browser is not good, Kaka. I don't know whether it is still running. So do you remember the dashboard you built for yourself? Okay,
Okay, it remembers.
no, I
But
don't
I
remember.
see very interesting thing. It does not provide link.
It
It
doesn't
provides
provide?
paths. It does not provide hyperlink. It provides paths.
Yeah,
It doesn't provide
because
any hyperlink.
yeah, there's only one crazy thing which I did now. Instead of giving a full root access to it,
Oh,
I actually created a user account called as Cloud, which is limited, and उसका sudo भी मैंने निकाल दिया.
Yeah, that's what I
And
do.
yeah, and then I gave it to him. अगर वो कर देता था ना, शायद वो एक मेरे लिए एक वेब सर्वर लगा के उसके ऊपर डालते रहता था. Means it is capable of that. अगर मैं उसको बोलूंगा तो एक वेब सर्वर रन करो उधर, and on that web server put this file in a hyperlinkable position. It will do that करके, because उसको कुछ भी वो सब चीजों में इसको इश्यू नहीं है करके. It is ultimately क्या होता है ना कि I am also little techy ना, so I don't bother these things. मुझे लगता है कि वो तो क्या SFTP तो मानना है, मेरा ऑलरेडी सेटअप है टर्मिनस, जाके पुल कर लूंगा, आ जाएगा. So I'm not bothering those things. Okay, but
And I
you
think it
can.
is safe that way also. See, even for people who are not techie, इतना CLI एक बार वो करेंगे, somebody sits with them for let's say half an hour, 1 hour, there like 10 commands जो पता होना चाहिए वो पता होगा, बाकी सब तो OpenClaw कर रहे हैं, and you're anyway doing it mostly from an interface like for WhatsApp or something or Telegram or whatever, right?
Correct. So the closest interface for me is like a friend or assistant. That I don't even think that it is a bot. I don't think about the logic. I simply say, "Yaar, ye karna hai karke." There was a point, means one particular month I was struggling with my maintaining my tasks because I also do freelancing. Karke. So my biggest worry was, okay, how I'll keep track of all the activities which I did when I have to generate an invoice. So I asked him, will you maintain project-wise invoices? He started maintaining. I only thing I'll tell him, oh, I went to the X client and I spent so many hours on this task. I'll just put it here. It will maintain. And in the month end, if I ask him, please give me the list of tasks by clients, it gives the list. Now, this is crazy because it has built a system of its own. It built a CSV-based system internally. So there is no notion of software. So we have some of the groups. I don't know, you're not in other groups, Mugda, but there are some groups where there is a guy who actually is in a ERP business. And he actually built a full ERP on a ERP claw as a skill now. So you can simply send the thing saying you send invoice to this person, book this purchase order, and it keeps doing it on its own. Okay. So this is something which is really happening as a technology. I'm just trying to see whether my dashboard is still running. No, it is not.
It is, and there are other people coming up to it also, like Hermes Agent Subsystem, and others are also coming up for giving different variations and different flavors to what OpenClaw is doing.
Correct. So Hermes is actually OpenClaw. It's not a variation of OpenClaw, but it is a different agent, and it has an inbuilt self-learn continuous improvement.
Yeah.
So it continuously improves itself.
What I'm thinking about OpenClaw, what I would use it for. Why not ask it to create its own model? Can it do that?
It creates its own model means?
Create its own foundation model, train it. Because if it can do so much, why not have our own model like Claude Code for ourselves?
Mugda, if you're running OpenClaw anyways, then why would you require a model for it? Suppose you're saying you want to fine tune, let's say, that is different. Both of onslaught
No, I'm not talking about training or fine tune. I'm saying create from the scratch a foundation model for myself. Right? Why? Because Claude Code is owned by somebody else. I want a model of my own foundation model. If I can afford to host it.
अब Claude की बात करें, Claude Code नहीं फिर. You're talking of Claude, no?
Correct. I'm talking about Claude Opus, Claude, I don't know, Sonnet, something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So see, tasks can be given. It's not really difficult. It is, and it can keep doing a long running task. My challenge is, of course, if you're doing it on an open model, like those models should be capable of doing that. Something like ChatGPT 5.4 or 5, yesterday's 5.5 was launched yesterday. So GPT 5.5 or Opus 4.7 will do it probably, but it is so much tokens it will consume. And I'll tell you, the model problem is not the model. The model problem is data set. Like if you get a good quality
coming to that only. That is the main. Data set is everything. Yes.
Yeah.
So there is something happening here, Mugda. There is something happening in the companies here. So for example, Infi is doing it. Tech Mahindra's Makers Lab. They are working with this program, right? Apna, the India program. Nikhil and all, right? So the thing is, whatever they put together, we can justify whether it's right or wrong is different matter, but they put it in a matter of months. So I want to check with them that only. Okay, what is the data sets you decided for India, right? So that data sets is the name of the game. वो डेटा सेट हो गया तो आप फिर डिसाइड कर सकते हो आपको कैसे करना है वो.
Correct. Because many of these models, and first of all, pre-training is costly. Only I'm talking about fine-tuning. Okay, like even fine-tuning also, data set requires to be in a particular format. Either it need to be question answer format, or it has to be question right answer wrong answer format. Now, getting data then putting in those formats is a massive amount of effort. And first of all, getting original data means I tried even synthetic data generation, but even giving a seed data based on which it will do synthetic. So there are some approaches like what DeepSeek did, okay, but they actually use something like Opus and ChatGPT as a teacher model, and they kept generating question after question, and they said you keep generating answers for them. They took that as a data set and trained the whole model on that. So what is called a distillation as a process. Now, but these are also very costly processes. You'll still end up spending several $1 million of tokens to get good quality.
Plus, if it's a bad luck, then some slop from the old model will flow into the new model.
Flow into the model, correct.
So that is one reason why the big guys also typically don't use an older model to. I mean, if the model was so great, उन्होंने एक model बना दिया, then they should just be churning out models from that. But they typically don't do that because with all the good, a lot of bad also goes into every model. So
yeah. That's correct. Internet is full of junk. Okay, so
yeah.
So that's
so
the
anybody
broadly.
following this up, anybody following OpenClaw or even coding in Claude Code, and also remember one thing which here we highlighted, Ravi sir highlighted with this with GBrain and everything, but the memory, be it just a memory.md in your agentic framework or a memory.md here, or a GBrain or some or long-term, short-term memory, those are going to be very important in how you decide what works.
Correct.
In all this agentic thing.
You know, Bridget, the GBrain, the beauty of that brain is you can take it from one agent and you can make it shareable across agents. So you can suddenly have enterprise brain.
Yeah.
So the memory which was sounding literally 6 months back as the inside part of the agent has now become a shareable asset in its own right.
Yeah.
Of course, that is again lot is happening on enterprise side. Okay, enterprise side is a super exciting space. But I'm suddenly realizing when I looked at the AnythingLLM and other, a lot of agentic things are flowing into personal AI.
Personal, I think, will soon be that. Personal, we are steps away from systems having it in your next chat help in your devices will be one of these agents only. But it's good to have know it yourself. So for my sake, among the like small model you were talking about, now OpenClaw to do the big thing, a big level project and all, I require to have a Sonnet or at least a Kimike 2.5 or 2.6 or whatever. But if it is just to do some of these things, some of the standard things, look at the news, look at the RSS feed, tell me what are the 10 best things, etc., then we feel that even a GPT Mini could do this. So in those kind of scenarios, if I can have an environment which has Gemma, and if I have an environment which can run OpenClaw decently, then a small model and this combination can do for me, because then cost for me will reduce immensely because token cost will reduce. Right? So if you have a Mac Mini at home and you have OpenClaw running on it and you just put a Gemma or a Quen or something on it, and if it's running, then 99% of your daily routine activities that you require to be managed, it can do, including maybe replying to spam and all many things it can do as you give it access. So idea is first give no access, and then as your requirement increases, keep giving it access in a very controlled manner, and it should be able to do a lot of things automatically for you.
One of the things that I was thinking of, clearing out my mailbox of anything unwanted. There are a lot of things that land up there. So if I can tell OpenClaw, go into my Gmail inbox and look for certain mails, although this can be done within my, there is a search facility there. And Gemini itself can do this. But if I ask OpenClaw to do this for me on a regular basis.
And means कर देगा. And secondly, अगर suppose वो skill उसके पास नहीं भी है ना, it's first tendency is it will ask you, should I build it?
Yeah.
वो जाके API ढूंढेगा, प्रोग्राम लिखेगा, पाइथन का कोड लिखेगा, स्किल बना के अपने स्किल रजिस्टर में ऐड भी कर देगा.
क्या
तो याद
local
रखना, थोड़ा सा एरोगेंट बच्चा है, वो गलत भी लिख सकता है. सॉरी दीप्ति, यू वर सेइंग समथिंग.
जैसे हम गैमा यूज कर रहे थे, तो क्या लोकल गैमा भी कैन डू द सेम वर्क और नॉट?
It can.
Yeah.
It can. It is only what Ravi's sir was showing, the stuff that he is putting together. It was a GPT connection is useful for that. But you can put a local. आपने देखा वहाँ पे LMStudio भी था. When he was choosing GPT, there was LMStudio also. So if there was,
हाँ,
if OpenClaw had a site,
LM स्टूडियो में ही गैमा गैमा वगैरह.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. अगर आप सोच रहे हो कि सब सी LMStudio तो इट्स इजी वे टू डू द Gamma 4, ओके. बट सपोज आपको Gamma 4 का इंस्टॉल करना है आपके यहाँ पे, आपने vLLM में कुछ करके आपने एक्चुअली इंस्टॉल कर दिया है. Then you have to make it install in such a way that the endpoint जो है, it is in the OpenAI format. There's a standardized format of OpenAI का, and that endpoint that you are now having of the thing, that you can give to it as a custom LLM. तो आप उनके वो config फाइल में जाके आपको ऐड करना पड़ेगा कि ये है प्रोवाइडर, ये है LLM एक्सेट्रा, एंड आपको वो कस्टम बोल के देना पड़ेगा.
Yeah, so just because since you mentioned the formats, LMStudio support OpenAI and Anthropic format. So this is currently I'm using OpenAI compatible endpoints, but they also support Anthropic compatible endpoints.
Yes, those are the two formats, correct.
Yeah.
So these are two formats for people who know, like Dipti, you know about the IT part of it, right? So once you have the model, you have to expose it, like any REST API is exposed, right? So the exposure happens in one of these two formats, OpenAI format or Anthropic format. So Claude Code agar kar rahe ho aap, then typically you take the Anthropic format. Okay, if you're not going through LMStudio and all that, you'll take an Anthropic format and you can introduce it as a custom model in Claude Code. Okay. Similarly, the OpenAI endpoint format को उठा के आप OpenClaw को दे सकते हैं.
Correct. Yeah. Oops.
Although I recently tried to configure Anthropic as a model, not exactly Anthropic, Claude Sonnet as a model for OpenClaw for my recent experiment, I was unable to do that because there is a mismatch. Just the same thing that you are talking about, OpenAI specific format and Anthropic, that they do not allow.
आपका वो subscription क्या हो रहा था?
Yeah.
Till 3 weeks before now, it was working. And then they realized $20 is already they're giving you a big discount, and then you're just eating up tokens. So they have stopped that. Now the only way you can connect Anthropic to OpenClaw is through API.
Yes, correct.
Everybody stopped. Even Gemini stopped.
Yeah. But Gemini did it quietly. जब Anthropic ने इतना loudly किया तो Peter went all crazy on the Twitter.
Great.
No,
all right.
If you're connecting to an outside one, I'm telling you, if you're not connecting to any of these standard paid ones, and if you want to pay for an API and be careful about it, kind of a thing, one of the models I've seen, which is pretty decent in the way it is costing for quite a lot of power, is the Kimi series. And normally I take it from Moonshot. The Moonshot AI serverless API. Just one warning for everyone: please take serverless API. I made the grand mistake of taking. I did not realize click click click. Karke, I took a GPU server. And servers are not cost by token, they're cost by minute. So I am looking at the screen and I was looking what the heck is happening. $5. ये क्यों $5 चला? $10. Before I could stop it, $50 मेरे हाथ से चले गए. Okay.
Wow.
So be very
so
careful.
be very careful when dealing with
Be very
GPUs.
careful. Only take the serverless API calls. Never go and set up a server unless you're working for a big company and it's a company server.
Ravi sir mentioned something called RunPod.
Yeah. So I'll quickly talk. Yeah, RunPod is the GPU service provider. And that's it. Like what happens when you want to do something on a GPU very rapidly. Generally, either a training. Mostly, I use it for fine tuning. But I'll show you. I'll share it. Okay, maybe I'll quickly.
RunPod. Okay.
I think I have to leave.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay, Dipti.
Although
good.
you will not, unfortunately, will miss you for the group photo. I usually take a group photo at the end. Everybody's smiling and their cameras on.
We
So,
can do a photo now and then.
Yes.
yeah, we can. Let me turn on that gallery view
Yeah.
for a moment. So, Neha, you still with us, right? Would you like to turn on your camera? Hey. So, hi, Mahendra. So Neha and Mahendra, Neha was there at. Arey wow, you have OpenClaw.
Oh God.
Neha was there. She can be called founding member of NightBuild. Mahendra comes from Pi and AI community ambassadorship. He is kind of my peer with community management in deep learning AI. So these two people joined a little later, but I'm happy to see them here. So let's take a quick snap here. Just bear with me for a moment. Capture preferences. Yeah. And here we go. Is it taken? No.
Selfie
One
the
more
page.
try. One more try. Everybody. Sorry. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. Now got it. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shall I quickly share RunPod?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So RunPod is a GPU provider. Now, if you try to buy use GPUs in India, of course, the hyperscalers are costly, like Azure and others. Now, there are players like I used to use from somebody called as E2E network.
Yeah.
E2E network is E2E, Yota. These are the Indian
Big ones, yeah.
big ones in the GPU space. Now, E2E provides a GPU, but they take a 1 day's full upfront advance. And for somehow I will use for 2-3 hours and close it, and then next time I'll go, they will say, oh, your 1 day advance is not there, so add another some money. So I found RunPod, which is actually like you will see there is a $11.63 which are hanging there, and they give a lot of GPUs. Like you will see there is RTX series, they're giving it for $0.99 per hour. Then even they give H100s, $2.99 per hour. They have Blackwell 5.49. They are small. Like for example, if I go to A40, which is 0.44 hours and 48 GB VRAM, 50 GB RAM. Now these are very good for doing a quick implementation or things which I want to check. Most of the time, I don't use it for real inferencing. I use it for my personal R&D space. Two very specific. One is LMStudio, which is a hyper tuning, fine tuning framework. And second is if you want to do benchmark on the LLM speeds, because one of the core challenge with the LLMs is when you deploy them, then there are set up metrics, you measure them at least in an enterprise space where you say, okay, what is the time to first token? How many parallel requests it can batch? What is the total latency? What is the token throughput per second? Now, if you really want to measure them at a scale where you want to use some kind of a concurrence request generator, then testing them on a different GPU is a good thing. And that is the only reason I use it. So this one early, when you go for first time, I think you have to load $10 upfront. They might add anything from 5 to 250 according to them, but for me, they only added 5. So $15 got added, and then I kept using it. If I use it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'll lose few cents. And I had tried with A40 and L4 and those kind of GPUs. So it is very, very rapid experimentation, but you have to be ready. Means you have to keep everything ready and
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And
One question I would like to ask here, how do we decide? Say, for example, Gemma 4, E2B, which would category of GPU say whether it should be T4, L4, what are the different categories and which would be the most appropriate one for a given model? How do we identify that? What is the criteria to pick that one?
The criteria is, as I said, I generally start with what you means. It is typically the same thing for all workloads. It is called as workload characterization. You will ask the question, what is the nature of workload which you are getting? What is the number of input tokens and what is the expected output tokens? It depends upon the use case. If your use cases are primarily Q&A bots, then you know, okay, maybe the conversation history will grow up to certain limits and maybe. Actually, one more thing, okay, like one of the things which a lot of people don't take care while prompting, if your prompt, when you're sending the big prompt, if your starting part is same, not even a character different, then most LLMs will cache. They will use something called as KV cache and they will reuse it. Lot of portion of it will get reused. So your cost also goes down, your latency comes down substantially. So many times what happens that you are really trying to see characterize that workload and see, okay, what kind of work data you are sending. Okay, like if it is a chatbot, then what might be number of input tokens, what might be output tokens, how many times you will send them. So you take that and you try to say, if this is one user, how many such user can simultaneously happen? Now, in a web world, it was simpler. Okay, like if you in a web world where my APIs were sub-second, I was aware that if 100 people are sitting, then only 5% of them will simultaneously hit. If 100 logged in user, my best was 5% will simultaneously hit. As long as I have those 5 users I deal with, my server is good enough. In AI pattern, because the requests are long running and they keep streaming tokens after tokens for long, your your GPU memory need to be huge and your GPU processor need to be huge. And that's why this workload characterization I generally do. Okay, what is the input load? What is the output tokens? What is the expectation in terms of first token, time to first token? What is the expectation in terms of time to what is throughput? Like 45 tokens per second, 100 tokens per second, 500 tokens per second. What is the throughput expected? And what is the simultaneous batch load I'll get? And if those characteristics you get, then you generally, I still don't know the exact math. NVIDIA guys provide you the calculators and all, saying what GPUs are good. My approach has been little desi hai. Go on to different GPUs, try it out. So if you use products like HEY, you can actually create the curl commands on. You can say I want to have 100 concurrent users and they should send 1,000 requests, and you give the curl to it, it will fire those 100, it will create 100 threads and simultaneously fire those requests. And then you start measuring and he also gives you output in terms of how it performed. So that's the way I generally do it. So it is more empirical rather than a scientific in that sense. Like I actually try it out. But my characteristic is this.
That's the only way to do it, because otherwise you're trusting the hardware guys, right?
Yeah.
So the only way you can do it is you have to benchmark it your way with your data.
No, correct. And today tools are capable. Like previously also Apache benchmark, the AB was very good. And nowadays I found Hey also equivalent of that, and it generates a lot of simulated requests. And you can actually see how the LLMs performed.
Yeah.
And if your solution is agentic and if you use something like LangChain or something, then their own observability tool like Langsmith and give a very sophisticated telemetry, which you can use for the decisions. But there is no real rule of thumb, to be very honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a trial and error, basically.
It's not so much of trial and error as much as if you don't know anything, go for the lowest combination which can fit your model, and then see if you can live with that latency. See, because at the end of the day, many of the things you're doing with personal stuff, right? If you can live with the latency, if you can live with the accuracy and all of that, fine. If you cannot, it's typically latency which will be the biggest problem. Now, if that is an issue, then go to the next big one. I mean, that's a simple way of doing it. But if you're doing it in any form of planned activity, then run one of LLM perf is there. We created something called load test because LLM perf was not performing well in some disaggregated environments. So those are also available publicly. So take one of those, just run it against that environment and see, or find benchmarks of that environment. It's a judgment call more than anything else.
Correct.
Right.
And it also your inference engine matters. Okay, like when I did my first deployment inside the office, I use L4 and I use Ollama. Then I realized that you can't make it Ollama parallelized. Okay, like if you try to send several parallel requests, it had a concept called as parallel, but that parallel means it will open 4 Ollamas for you. Now I don't want
Wait.
that. Yeah, I don't want that. So ultimately I shifted to vLLM.
Yeah.
And vLLM had a fairly sophisticated batching and those features are good. So your performance also depends upon what is your underlying engine you're using for inference. Okay, LMStudio I had never used as an enterprise product. Okay, they released the CLI recently, so I don't know how good they are, but they seems to be giving a lot of good data points. Okay, like if I look at simply the parameters they allow you to set here, they get into quite a few things, KV cache, how much it should be. They get into K cache quantization. At least the number of parameters which are given are significant. Okay, so if somebody understands transformers a little better.
Mhm.
But my take is that only, see, whatever way you do this, end of the day, either you have to go with your what is coming default, or you need to have some understanding. If you have some understanding, then it's a slippery slope. You'll start having more understanding just because it is interesting. But if you don't want that understanding, then the simple way out is, and you want some powerful models, etc. The simple way is take a serverless API, pay the money, monitor it all the time, and make sure that utilization is smart. When you're talking to Cloud Code, when you're talking to OpenClaw, anybody, try to give your questions. One minus point of many of these things is this chat mentality is still there with people. They think of everything like chat GPT, and they'll say one line and then second line and second line. That is very costly, essentially. It is better that you give the entire what you want, just give it in one shot, right? Like, this is what I would want it to do in a certain amount of, and then let it ask questions and you can update it. But at least to give the main work to be done in one shot. So that is one more way to manage your expenses in a way.
So Brijesh, the serverless API charges are by the it is your own model also you can host for serverless API.
No. Serverless API own model. You're right. I've not tried that. I've always been talking about this. No, but some places do host open weight models as serverless API.
Yeah, because the RunPod also provides that. It never worked for me right way. Okay, of course, initially I was worried about whatever they called as cold start and all. But even beyond cold start, I was not sure about whether model gets rendered properly or not. Okay, so but I'm looking for that solution. But if you really have a good serverless solution, it will be interesting. And of course, another problem is that I need my use cases demand that I need to be India residency. So I need
इंडियन
a
रेजिडेंसी का
provider in
प्रॉब्लम,
India.
क्योंकि यहाँ पे तो वो E2 ही छोड़ के और कोई है ही नहीं.
नहीं है तो right. So I'm hoping like crazy कि Reliance comes in, it will do some magic, will bring some quality GPU provisioning.
I am still going with this moonshot or that fire वाला कौन सा मैं नाम भूल रहा हूँ.
अच्छा.
Just like base 10, there was another one which is I'm forgetting the name. I'll give you the name. So they are very good कि Hugging Face में जो top आ गया, they will make a version of that and make it available as serverless. So now Gemma has come that they'll make Gemma for available. The minus point is you don't have much say, but even there उनके पास एक playground भी है. So limited number of parameter up and down you can do.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So in a sense you can tune it to that extent. So but उसका नाम for some reason is escaping my mind right now. I'll send it to the group.
Sure. So that's it, I think.
Thank you so much, Mugdha ji, Ravi sir, Ritesh ji. Really blown my mind. Awesome. The guys' stuff you all have shared. Really grateful for that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I hope you understood and you could make use of this knowledge that you got today.
I don't know how much I can make use, but yes, I understood what is happening. How to get it down into real world where I could implement something. I will come back to you guys for help,
Please.
because I know what the problems are, but how to get it into something which would be usable, I'll definitely need your help. I mean, it's for me, a lot of things are new today. Many not terms, but new things like LMStudio and some other stuff which y'all have shared. So I will go through that myself at my time and try and integrate it. And what I don't understand, I'll definitely come back to you for for guidance.
Absolutely. You are most welcome. We'll have next edition of NightBuild in couple of weeks, hopefully. And you can
Okay.
always ask ChatGPT
The
or
group.
Claude,
Okay.
whatever terms you heard, you can always experiment without any hesitation. That's the whole thing. You hear a few words here and you go back to your AI and you ask, what does that mean for me? What do I get out of this? I am this person, I am a caterer or a catering management service provider. What it means to me. That's how we explore. Because, see, like you, I am not exactly a developer. Unlike Brish sir and Ravi sir, I'm not a developer really from the background. No, don't do that.
See,
And
if you
I'm
have an
not a
idea and you start
PA.
writing code, you're a developer.
Anyway, so it's about exploration. That's about
I
it.
agree. I agree.
Yes, it's trial and error.
No, so that's the only thing I would say, Janike. Forget about the technical part of it, but आप जो भी करोगे, make sure that you try it out. Academically मत बैठो. मतलब आप definition सीखते अभी, don't learn definition for 2 weeks. Learn it quickly, whatever, but try something. Okay? And if you, while trying something, you hit something, interact with us, we'll give you what input we have. But this is one of those things कि try करके ही आप सीखोगे वो. Unless you see it happening, no, everything is academic. There's no use.
I understand. Okay. Yes. Strong takeaway for me. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks.
Nice to have you guys here.
Very good evening.
Okay, so now we come to the close. I was hoping to have a dedicated Q&A, but I guess I asked all the questions. Mahendra, by any chance, if you have any last questions to ask,
Yeah,
go
I have a
ahead.
question. Ravi sir. So I'm planning to host the OpenClaw on my MacBook Pro, but just worried ki it may access so many things. So can I just make a standard user and install it on that? And I mean, will that be a safe?
नहीं थोड़ा risky तो है करके risky है करके it is if your only reason you should do it is if you want open source model to run power it. Otherwise,
yeah. Then I will try that way. Yes.
But otherwise, you should not. I mean, the right thing to do is getting a hosted VM dedicated. Okay, and giving it. Okay, having a machine for itself is the safest thing to do. It is still not a stable product. It is just it started becoming little stable.
Yeah, recently I heard some issues with it. Yeah.
No, but
security issues.
You got a ProBook, MacBook Pro.
Yeah, ProBook, M2 Pro.
So yeah, my suggestion is if you're going to put it, no, don't make a different user. Okay, rather make sure you're running in a Docker environment,
right?
Or a VM environment. Okay, I did VM, but my friend did a better in a Docker, and that will have no connection to anything. जो भी connection आपको उस पे करना है, Tailscale से ही करो.
Okay.
Okay, so the point is the ingress and egress of that will only be your Docker is there and it connects to Tailscale. Right? Now from Tailscale, if it wants to come back and do something, so instead of it connecting to a document in your folder, give it in Google Drive or somewhere. Give those. So let it run in let it use your GPU and let's use your CPU, but don't let it interact with any other part of your system unless limited way, man. Like chun ke aap unko access do.
Yeah, that's why I'm just holding back it. I don't.
So what I did was I put Tailscale. Then I gave the document part of my in the document part I created a part just like we do for OneDrive. I created a part and I said Tailscale को this ये visible है. MacBook का ये folder Tailscale को visible है. उसको वो एक Google Drive visible है. और उसको मेरा this guy's का Tailscale connection integration is there in OpenClaw. So it is there. That's all I gave.
Okay.
So now Tailscale is my manager in a way. Right? वो एक चीज के दूसरा मैंने I forget the name of the tool again, but I put a tool on MacBook Pro itself. So now anything connects in my MacBook Pro. The minute it does the first connection to the internet, it asks me permission.
Okay.
So, because अभी क्या agents भी बन रहा है, कोई भी कुछ भी कर सकता है. So I said no, you cannot connect. It's like locked. Before you connect, you give it. I'll find the name and I'll send it out to the group. I'm not good with names. I keep messing them up in my head.
Okay. So, and hi Ravi sir, I was a part of Mastech between 2012 to 19, and initially I was in a Excel. So I've seen you so many times. So I was working in a cities team.
I know. I saw the name and I realized that. When I looked at your thing, I said, yeah, I know. Remember the page also. Okay, right. Right.
So that's a great thing. A lot of
Nice to see
familiar
you.
faces. And I
Yeah.
hope Chanakya, you also have now us for familiar faces now. Next time you come
Yes.
around.
Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Mumtaz. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey,
Thanks.
guys.
All
Thank
right
you.
then.
Good night.
Bye.
So here I
Bye.
close, and so good night to you all. Hopefully we will see you again together here in the next edition of NightBuild.
Yes.
Thank
Although
you.
no people
Thank
And
follow
good
you.
night. Happy
Thank you.
weekends.
Happy
Happy.
weekend.
Happy.
Yeah.